This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Hey indie filmmakers, I'm Griffin Hammond.
I'm Nick Bodmer, and today we're talking about the many monetization choices creators have across platforms, whether that's on YouTube or Twitch or Instagram.
Plus, we'll talk about the introduction of the new YouTube handles, a feature that you may want to know about, and answer several great audience questions. But first, I just want to give you the quick TLDR version of this episode. There's really one question that I want to get your input on, our audience that's watching and listening. And also Nick will help me through this today. But the real question today is, do you think I should turn on YouTube memberships? This is the paid tiers that creators can add to their channel. And if I did that, then what value proposition should I offer? What of value can I bring to you that I'm not already doing?
This is exciting. I'm kind of excited for this conversation because I don't know where it's going to go, to be honest.
And you're probably excited because I feel like you've been encouraging me to do this kind of monetization, additional monetization.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there's more you'd like to do, and it's hard for you to justify it with all the other things you have going on, and making money to support yourself and your family. But I think there's a path forward where we can get more content from Griffin Hammond, and we can help support him making that content. So right. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. That's my thought.
Well, I guess just to get your before we even finish the conversation and get through all the details, I just want your gut reaction. Do you think I should turn on YouTube memberships? My experience, and I pay for a lot of subscriptions to, I guess what you would call indie content creators, mostly around podcasts, to be honest, not like YouTube specific people, though video is becoming more and more a part of what you get from these. And my first thought is, yes, if you just wanted to do YouTube to try it out, I think that would be great. I do have the gut feeling that using one of these third-party membership services would be better because it would allow you to provide other things to people that aren't platform-specific, right? Right.
Specifically, I can tell you one of my favorite things that I get with some of these is a Discord channel. So that's something I want to talk to you about. But I think a Hey Indie Filmmakers Discord channel would be very cool. Because then the community can kind of interact with each other and help each other out and show what they're working on and things like that. So that's my very first blush thought. I don't know, maybe YouTube gives you the ability to link into that kind of stuff, and I just don't know that. I'm not an expert on it for sure. But I think that's
a great additional question to ask our audience is, I'd love for you to sound off in the comments, and we'll talk about all this stuff in detail, but what platforms are you interested in using for monetization? If I go over to Instagram and try to do Instagram subscriptions, that's probably not a great idea for me. I don't have a huge audience on Instagram. It makes sense potentially to use the native YouTube memberships, but are any of you excited about Substack or Patreon, or what platforms are you excited to be closer to creators on?
Sure. Be good to know.
I will, just as an aside real quick, I am subscribed to one creator on Substack because that's what their podcast is. And I don't really love Substack. I guess mostly because I'm probably using it to try to only listen to one podcast. But it also wants to show me everything else it does, which is lots of email, newsletters and stuff. I just feel like I'm only there to try to look at one thing and listen to one thing, and it's trying to show me a lot of other stuff.
So does that mean that podcast you listen to via Substack, you can't bring it into your native podcast player?
I probably can and just don't know how to.
Okay.
Do you think Substack provides a special...
I didn't even know Substack did podcasts. I know them for email newsletters, so that's interesting. But that's why
that's the thing. It's I subscribe to a bunch of free newsletters already.
Yeah.
Not even ever using the Substack app. I just already was a subscriber, and so they all show up in my Substack app because I'm on their email list, which I don't really need. It's I'm reading that in my email. I just want to listen to the podcast. Yeah.
That's why I feel like something like Memberful, or I'm sure there's other versions. Memberful just happens to be what most of the ones I subscribe to use. It's very transparent, so you kind of control the whole experience, but they provide the infrastructure on the back end to do authorization and, custom RSS channels. So if we wanted to have like a members version of this podcast, it would just be everyone would get an Overcast link or a link to whatever podcast player they use, and they'd get a custom subscription feed, and Memberful takes care of that kind of thing for you.
And I
so
will
there's
say
an
right
idea,
off the bat, just because
a custom feed for this podcast.
Yeah.
We could have like extra episodes, or maybe like, like a deep dive after the episode or something like that. Just little bonus extras.
Yeah. And I do want to say, I don't expect us to like, I hate paywalling stuff. I don't expect us to like take the podcast and go like, now it's a subscription podcast. My goal with any monetization that I might do would be to add new value, add new content on top of the free content, or add something that goes along with the content, but something new that I'm creating for you of value. Not I would continue to do this podcast for free. I would continue to do DIY filmmaking tutorials for free because I like to do that.
Yeah.
Unless you disagree, Nick, you want to take the whole podcast offline.
I want to lock it all down. No, of course not. But I do think there's more you can give people, that you can choose to invest the time in that if you have, a revenue stream, so that your Peter can, eat, which is important.
Well, real quick, I want to run through first the things that I already do to monetize content on the internet.
Yep.
And then I want to look through some of the different platforms, what they natively have, and then we can talk about platforms like Memberful that are outside of the platforms themselves. So the most obvious thing I do on YouTube already is AdSense. Like most people, I'm part of the partner program. And I was curious, I had an idea of how much I made on this platform, but I actually went and looked at my finances and just looked at the last 6 months. And it looks like I make $219 a month on average from ads on YouTube.
Okay. So you're getting
and
rich,
YouTube,
is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I imagine like most YouTube creators, most people do not make any like living wage off of YouTube in this way. It's, it's nice to make some money off the ads. And also the other thing is like, most of this money probably comes from my back catalog. I don't even know how many videos I have. Let's see what it says. I wonder if I could just see it all in my... I'm looking at my list of videos. I don't even see how... It says rows per page, 30 of about 109 pages? Could that be right? Could I really have like 3,200 videos on my channel?
That doesn't sound right.
That sounds like too much.
That sounds like too many.
Let me go to the actual
how
channel.
many? No, even the podcast is only. How many episodes are we up to on the podcast?
Probably hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah, but not thousands. And
yeah.
You have been making videos for a long time, but that seems like too many.
I feel like it must say this somewhere. Why do I not see where this is? Here's what I'll do. I'll count them up and I'll throw the number on the screen right now. I have no idea what it is. But because I have hundreds, if not thousands of videos, collectively they earn revenue. Any number of them could just like get popular in a search feed for a specific thing. And so that happens sometimes. So I can't even say that like this podcast doesn't earn hundreds of dollars a month, but like the total volume of my channel does. And then I was actually surprised that, it makes sense to me that like selling stuff through YouTube is going to be the best way to make any revenue. You can't rely on the AdSense for most creators, especially since YouTube is giving you 55% of the ad revenue, but they're not giving you all of it. And I do sell 2 different classes. I have like a $5 1-hour crash course in filmmaking. And then I also have like a 7-hour class that is a variable price that's on CreativeLive, depending on what they decide to charge for it. And then I get a portion of that.
So the crash course, is that sold directly on YouTube, or is that also through CreativeLive?
That one's actually sold on Vimeo.
Oh, okay.
So, And so in this category, I actually combined the classes and Sriracha because without digging into the numbers, I'd have to separate out which Vimeo money is coming from Sriracha and which is coming from the class. So together, my classes and Sriracha, so this is all the stuff that I sell video on demand, makes $662 a month, which was a lot higher than I was expecting.
That's not bad, yeah. For back catalog work, right?
I do think it's skewed recently. I mean, this is good news for me. I think in the last 6 months to 3/4 of a year, Peacock added Sriracha to its platform.
Yeah.
And over the years, my film has been on many different platforms. Some of them have been dropped, like Amazon Prime used to have my film for free, which actually made a surprising amount of revenue because people love watching free stuff. And I only made like 10 cents, but it was a big volume.
Added up. Yeah.
They took that off. They took a lot of like indie films off. But then Peacock just added it on. And I mean, I think it's making maybe a couple $100 a month on Peacock.
So is that included
more
in the $662 a month you just shared with us? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like I think this number is higher than usual because I think recently, and it may just be because Peacock is like a newer platform and maybe it's like overpaying, compared to competitors to like draw in content creators. And I imagine Peacock will go through the same evolution that all of these platforms go through. It'll like pay a bunch of money for indie content, and then when they can like draw the most professional content, they'll be like, get out of here, Sriracha. We don't need you anymore.
But maybe there'll be a new streaming service by then who wants to scoop you up.
Yeah.
So okay. So you said about $220 from YouTube ads, like 600 something from selling your classes in Sriracha.
Yeah. Which also, like, seeing that this category is so high, I mean, this is my feeling is that I should create more stuff like this. Maybe not a whole film, I mean, I don't know if I could find the time to make a whole film like Sriracha again, but I've been thinking about like making a crash course on lighting, just making like simple, full length, like, an hour long class or something, but
more targeted, more niche.
Yeah. About a specific topic, relatively quick, like an hour or 90 minutes or something, like something that could really provide some decent value and then not charge too much for it, like $5 or less, and see if I could sell a lot of them. And then the last category is affiliate links, which I feel like in years past, there have been times when I've made more off affiliate links than through Google AdSense, just by like telling people, hey, if you want to know what equipment I use, go to griffinhammond.com/gear. And then all the links there are like B&H or Amazon affiliate links. And it looks like right now I make about $63 a month just on the links. Just
I wonder
because
if that takes up a lot when like new cameras come out and stuff that you're talking about. And then
it does. And I think also specific videos I make, it'll be like, if I make a video about this Shure SM7B microphone, and like the cool thing about affiliate links is even if you click over to B&H to look at this mic and you ultimately do not buy this $400 mic, but then 2 days later you buy something different on B&H, I still get, I can't remember what the percentage is. It's like 6% or something of your.
Okay.
So you buy you go out and buy a camera instead, I get 5% of that, which does add up. But yeah, it is kind of tied to like when I make a specific video that seems to push those numbers up.
But at the moment, the income coming in from your, from your work is less than $1,000 a month. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like it's kind of half and half, or it's kind of split down the middle of like, a lot of it's like passive, the AdSense and the affiliate links. I'm not asking you as an audience member to really do anything, just exist on the internet and I will make some money because you existed, which is great for both of us.
Yeah.
And then the VOD stuff, I am actively asking you to buy my classes or Sriracha, but I do feel like that's a pretty good value proposition. Like I'm giving you an actual thing of value and you're transacting with me. And so I think going forward, if I do any sort of membership on YouTube, I would want to make sure I approach it the same way, that this is not charity. This is, I want to provide something that you actually want and are willing to pay for. And like at a decent price.
Yeah.
I would want to put myself in your shoes and be like, is this something that I would purchase as a consumer?
So you said you subscribe to one. What do you pay a month for the podcast you subscribe to?
I actually think I may have paid for the whole year in advance, but I feel like it was probably in the $5 a month price point.
Yeah, and I think that's a reasonable place to start,
Yeah.
for most things. So I subscribe to too many things, but all my subscriptions, I think, are between 5 and maybe 15 a month. There's a couple that I subscribe to that are a little more, but you get a little more out of it. Like, so I subscribe to a website called Stratechery, which is like a business and tech site. And as part of that, I get like access to his, the writings every day. He writes, 3 or 4 posts a day or a week that you get access to. And there's like a special podcast, and he keeps adding more stuff. So that one's more, but you get more out of it. So I do wonder if like starting with something fairly basic just to kind of get your feet under you and finding out what works. And, I wouldn't maybe jump off the bat with like 3 different tiers and this and that and 100, things. It might be good to start small and then kind of grow it as you find out what people are interested in.
Exactly. And I mean, that's like YouTube seems to recommend 3 tiers for their memberships. Like if you just go in and start doing the default thing, it suggests like, why don't you come up with a $3 tier, a $7 tier, and a $25 tier? And I've always heard this advice. I mean, of course, these platforms want you to spend as much money as possible because they get a cut of it. With YouTube, it's 70% goes to the user or to the creator and 30% goes to YouTube. But like Patreon, I remember years ago at an event I went to said the same thing, was like, you should always have a high level, you have your other levels, your low, medium, and high. But your high level, maybe even place it a little bit higher than you think, because people might value you more than you value yourself.
Right.
Which I imagine is what YouTube is getting at here with the 3, 7, and 25. Like 25 seems like a big jump, but like someone might like you that much and appreciate your art that much. I don't think I'm ready to do a $25.
Some of the ones that I subscribe to, and I don't subscribe to the higher tiers, but there are higher tiers that give you things like a monthly one-on-one Zoom meeting, like that might be valuable to somebody to like be able to bounce ideas off you for 30 minutes once a month, maybe they're willing to step up to a higher thing. So don't undersell yourself either, I guess is a good point.
Well, and like you said, I kind of do just want to dip my toe in. So like my instinct is create one tier. I could even go the lowest possible. So like the range that YouTube lets you do is you could do $1 US dollars, and I think they automatically convert to different currencies and economies. But you could do as low as $1 US dollar all the way up to $500. And so my instinct would be like, just do the $1 plan and see how many people are interested in this. And at the very least, what I think would be fun to offer is just like a lot of people put like a list of backers at the end of videos, but I feel like I'd actually want to take the time to specifically like say everyone's name, because it's like it'd be more fun that way than like here's the list. But actually like just it's almost like more voiceover work. Like just let's give a shout out to everyone who
I would start at 5.
A member.
I think it's going to be easier to come down or add a lower tier than move up. So if you're going to start out, I'd start at 5 and think about like things I would be interested in getting from Griffin Hammond, like I do kind of get this already, but it's something I love. I love seeing your videos before they're officially released, right? Like maybe beta cuts get shown or rough cuts get shown to people early, or a week early or a couple days early. Like I said, I think a Discord would be fantastic. I really think you should think about that, getting the community together. But I wouldn't start. I don't think I'd start at 99 cents or $1 just yet. I think you wanna. Because what's the value there, right? So if you're really going to do some extra work and provide some value, I think you deserve to get paid for that value. So and you could always add a lower tier later, right? Especially if you're experimenting. But it's going to be hard to move up the stack as opposed to down.
Yeah, I don't know. I just assumed it'd be the other way around, that it'd be easy to add low lift things to start, and then
I guess it depends what you're going to start with. It depends what you're going to start with, and that's what you got to figure out. But if you're going to start building custom content for this group, I don't think $1 is enough for that.
Yeah,
that's my thought. Sorry, everybody.
Okay,
I'm raising your prices.
Well, that I was thinking the cheap level was like, you can shout out everyone because that's an easy thing to add on to existing content. Like the video I'm going to make anyway, I can do this ending. But I was thinking, it would be fun to make like actually exclusive content. Like I was thinking there are like silly things that I would love to make like little mini docs about that are not like important enough. Like part of me just wants to make like a little mini doc about like all the different hot sauces I have in my house and like what I use them for.
Well, that would be perfect.
It's almost like too silly to like go out to the whole world, but I think there's probably a tier of membership where people would enjoy seeing creative works from me that are about like sillier things.
Absolutely. And I know you've been playing with video game streaming. Like I feel like you could do like a monthly stream for your subscribers only, where maybe they get to vote on what you have to play or something.
Yeah,
it'd be fun. Lots of ideas, but we need more. Send them in.
Yeah, please comment with your ideas and like if you like any of these or if there's other things you want.
Everybody's gonna be like, no, don't do
none of this. I don't want any of this. The other thing that YouTube has enabled alongside memberships is what they call super chat and super stickers and also super thanks, which are all essentially the same thing in the sense that they're all essentially just like a tip for a creator. Like I think right now, if you just go to any of my YouTube channel or any of my YouTube videos, there will be a button for super thanks, which is just a way to say thank you. And then like you get to post a comment with like a special like color next to your name that shows that you gave some money, which I imagine most people are not in it for the like color in the comments, but are just in it for like, I appreciate this content and I want to tip this person, which I think super chat and super stickers essentially perform the same function. Super chat is in live streams and super stickers you can, I guess, post stickers. But I just assume people are mostly doing it because they want to actually support a creator. I doubt they care so much about the stickers.
Yeah, but that's already enabled for you. Like, does anybody doing that on your videos? Does it happen?
No one's ever done the super thanks on like a post uploaded video, but a bunch of people have done it during live streams. I mean, it must be a little bit more prominent or known about. So like lots of people have done super chat, which I definitely recognized in the moment. Like I don't have like enough people watching my live streams that people are like, oh, I better give some money or he's never going to answer my question. Like no one's doing that. It's always been a very goodwill, like, hey, I'm really enjoying this live stream. Thank you so much for all your great content over the years, Griffin. And people can essentially do that on Twitch too. I mean, Twitch has a bunch of different functions for monetizing in the chat, as well as just subscriptions. I mean, you could pay $4.99 a month to subscribe to a channel.
Interesting.
And do you know about the free subs on Twitch if you're an Amazon Prime person?
Yes, I did know that I get one to give away each month as an Amazon Prime member, and I have done that a few times. Do you get the full amount then, or is it like prorated because it's a free subscription?
I would kind of expect it to be prorated or something, but I'm not sure it is. I think it may be the full thing. But yeah, anyone who is not familiar with Twitch or new to Twitch, if you're also an Amazon Prime user, you should know that every month you have the opportunity to give someone those $5 that you don't have to spend. And Twitch's rev share is 50%. So I mean, I'm guessing you get $250. I don't know if there's other fees or anything.
I just used my Amazon Prime sub on you, so.
Wow, thank you very much.
Let's see if that gets you $5.
Yeah, or $250, I guess.
$250, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll get half.
It's not bad.
So I mean, really, you should just, next time you see me, you should just hand me cash. That's a much better way to.
Okay, yeah, we'll do.
To give me value.
You need me to Venmo you right now? I can do that.
So that's Twitch and YouTube.
Twitch and YouTube.
Are you familiar with any of the other other
I know
popular...
Twitter's got something that I've seen people talk about, and I just don't read enough Twitter to ever pay for whatever they call Twitter super fans.
It's called
or whatever.
super follows.
Super follows. And basically it's like private tweets just for that group, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I've seen it show up on a few people's accounts. I don't think it's rolled out to very many users yet, and I don't know how they decide who gets to try it out. But I also, from those people that have it, I haven't seen anyone go like completely dark and it's all super, like they're still mostly tweeting to the public. I don't know what super follow content they're creating.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about
Twitter
that one
says
too much,
that if
would be my
you,
guess.
yeah, I'm not gonna do super follows. But for anyone who's interested, Twitter says that if you give someone $5 a month or you pay $5 a month, $3.39 goes to the creator. Because I think you must be paying for it through the iOS app, because Apple takes a pretty big cut and then Twitter takes a pretty tiny cut.
Now, here's a thought I was just having. So if you're doing private videos for your members, I wonder if YouTube system is going to be best for that, because how else do you do it, right? How do you provide, do you just do unlisted videos and say, please don't share the URL, basically?
I don't know. I wonder, like, you were talking about Memberful, and like Patreon is another popular one. I assume they have some integration with YouTube where, or are they using their own, like is Memberful using its own video platform to like share things?
That's what I say. I'm not sure Memberful is great for video, right? Like that's what I'm getting at, is because most of what I use it for is like either custom written content or audio content, but surely they probably can't afford to do their own video hosting. It's so expensive, right?
Yeah.
I'm Googling as we go.
Okay.
Video membership site.
Well, because I'm tempted to, I'm interested in the YouTube platform stuff because that's where all my subscribers are. I mean, I have a lot more people following me on YouTube than on Twitch or Instagram or Twitter or any of these places. So I can't imagine myself doing any of these other things. But I do wonder, like, for people who want to do all of them or many of them, do places like Patreon make it easier to, well, I guess, I don't know, like Patreon is like a different level. Like, that's what I'm wondering. You can't like use YouTube memberships and Instagram subscriptions and then like somehow bring them all together in one other place. Like,
exactly. That's the tough part of all this, right? Yeah, like Memberful is saying you can do custom videos when you build a custom WordPress website and install the platform and then embed Vimeo, and then I'm like, oh my God. So they don't have a super easy way to do that. I do wonder I would assume your membership following wouldn't be massively huge, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll get tens of thousands of people to sign up, but I do wonder if unlisted videos would just be good enough, right? Like, please don't share.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine I'd be terribly concerned about like the piracy.
Right. Exactly.
Let's hope that all my restricted videos get end up on Pirate Bay. Is Pirate Bay even still around?
I have no idea.
That was actually one thing I was very proud of in like 2013, 2014, when Sriracha ended up on the Pirate Bay. And I loved that I wasn't like, the film is not like put out by a major distributor or something. It's my film. I completely own the copyright to it. And so I'm able to just go to the Pirate Bay and say,
feel free.
Be well. Go forth and steal this film. You have my blessing. Like, there's no.
The Pirate Bay does exist, and Sriracha does still appear when you search, but it has no seeders, so I'm not sure you could actually download it.
Yeah. I should start seeding it again.
Yes. All right. Well, I think you need some feedback from the community here before you make any decisions. But
I mean, at one point I thought, wouldn't it be cool to just like activate YouTube memberships and then like announce it on the podcast? But ultimately decided, no, it'll be much better to talk about this in front of all of you, ask for your feedback before I dive into anything. I'd love to get everyone's input here.
Okay, here's an interesting thing. YouTube channel membership now has integration with Discord. So perhaps you could do like a private Discord even if you're using YouTube memberships.
Right. Yeah, I got the sense that there's more features here than just
Yeah.
videos.
I just assumed they'd want to keep you kind of locked into their platform, but that's smart.
But I'm sure, YouTube is smart enough to know for years people have been monetizing through Patreon and other services that offer all these things like Discord, access to Discord servers. So, yeah, they have to pull it all in.
So many decisions. So many.
Well, whatever I decide to do, I guess I'm just happy that over the years, I've gone back and forth a lot between working a full-time job and then being a freelancer for a little bit and then working a full-time job again. And so I've always been afraid of adding any sort of monthly monetization because I just worried about my ability to continue to provide that value consistently. Right. And I'm excited that I'm in a place now where I'm working for myself again, and it's the beginning of that. So presumably I have some runway in front of me, and it would be fun to be consistent for you. So I guess that's the value I want to provide. And let's talk about what specifically I should do.
I love it. If you start a Discord server, I will join it and I will participate.
Okay. We know that we'll have at least one member. Thank you. Well, in a moment after we shout out our sponsor, I want to talk about YouTube's new feature called Handles. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, we'll talk about this. And then we also have several good questions from our audience.
And I have another thing I'd like to talk about with YouTube.
We can do that too.
We don't know what it is, but I want to talk about YouTube Shorts.
Okay.
So Handy Filmmakers is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your filmmaking business.
And one of my favorite things that Squarespace has recently added, it's a completely free feature that you don't even have to be a Squarespace customer to use. It's called Bio Sites, and you can just go create a custom URL. So I've already grabbed bio.site/Griffin, bio.site/Sriracha, and these are like little mobile friendly websites that are perfect for like putting in your Instagram bio. Click on my bio site for Griffin and you can see my YouTube channel and my gear list. For Sriracha, it's great because like I can just list out all the places where you can find the film.
I just looked at your bio site and it looks just kind of like my own custom website, and this would be so much easier than what I run. I'll have to check this out. I love this. This is exactly kind of what I want out of a quick and easy web presence. So check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Griffin to save 10% off your purchase of a website or domain.
Thank you, Squarespace. All right, so you have not heard about YouTube Handles.
No.
Well, when they announced this, I was a little bit confused because what it is like everyone gets a custom name and
Isn't
URL.
That just your name? Like on youtube.com/ampsonic, I think.
Yeah, YouTube is already doing this. I think here's the distinction. Previously, you needed 100 subscribers to even have access to the custom URL. And then, it's like ever since they did Google Spaces, remember that? Is that what it was called?
I don't know what that is.
Am I confusing the name? What was Google's social network when they first came out with it?
It was called Google Circle? Circles?
It was like a circle, but I feel like ever since they did that, Google has been kind of obsessed with it was called Google Plus. Oh yeah, and then they closed it down. But it's like ever since then, Google has treated users as like the real name that's like a separate thing from the custom URL. So like I'm Griffin Hammond on YouTube, but my custom URL is like several different things. I have Griffinity, which is my original username. I also have a custom URL for Griffin Hammond. And I guess now it kind of looks like they just want to clean this up, and they'll actually be going forward, like there will actually be an @ symbol in the URL.
Oh, okay.
So I think, and actually, Nick, you should go to youtube.com/handle right now, because you could scroll to the bottom and it will show you like what your potential username could be. Because it kind of sounds like they're going to take people who already have custom URLs and make that into your username or your handle.
It says handles will be rolling out soon. We'll notify you when you can choose yours. Your existing channel URLs will continue to work.
What are your existing channel URLs? Are they all Amsonic?
YouTube.com/user/Amsonic.
Yeah. And so presumably your handle will be, your URL will become youtube.com/@Ampsonic, unless you choose a different username.
I might like a better one. I don't know. Maybe @Nick Bodmer instead.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Bodmer might make more sense. I don't know.
So apparently they'll let me know when I can choose mine. So that's good to know.
I'm kind of hoping that they've already reserved Griffin Hammond for me and not just Griffinity, because like I don't care about Griffinity. We can let that expire if we need to.
Yeah. That's the problem.
There's
when
also
you created all your web presence when you were high school and college aged, right? And now we're old.
I'd also love @Griffin, because that's what I have on Twitter and Vimeo, but there is a user who has that custom URL already, so I'm assuming it will get reserved for that person. Damn. But they haven't used their channel in 11 years. So part of me wonders, like, if that's long enough that YouTube will just be like, no, you don't get a reserved one. Like, maybe Griffin will pop up as available, but I bet it'll go quickly if I don't grab it. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. Like, YouTube made a big deal about rolling this out, and people are excited, but it's just kind of like, didn't you always have this in some sense? I think it's just like, it's a mess.
It's a unification,
it up.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Yeah. And I think they have so many different parts of their platform now, like regular YouTube videos, but also YouTube Shorts, and like maybe just because they're competing in different spaces, they need like some unification and something that's like cleaner and shorter or something.
Speaking of YouTube Shorts, so I heard a lot of people talking on Twitter and stuff that there's a new revenue split for YouTube Shorts, which got people excited. Do you know anything about what this was, or if it's something you should be looking into, or what are your
did
thoughts
hear about
on
this,
YouTube
but
Shorts?
I forgot the details. YouTube Shorts are interesting, but like I think they're limited to 15 seconds or something.
Is that true? I don't know.
It's real short.
Okay.
Like, let me see if that's right. Or maybe, I think what I'm thinking about, they're actually, it says it's 60 seconds. I think maybe it's only 15 seconds of like music. Like the way that like you could pull in music like on Instagram Reels or on TikTok. I feel like there was some limitation like that when last time I tried to upload a YouTube short. Like I had something I'd created for Instagram and TikTok, and I was able to use like the full song, and then on YouTube I couldn't use the song.
Interesting. Well, it says shorts can be up to 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm looking.
This is what's so funny is that like they're like a little bit different on every platform. So you make like one video that's perfect for all three, but then you have to make like 3 different lengths to like maximize it for the 3 different platforms.
Interesting. Well, anyway, it seems like an interesting area of growth. So we should, like we could clip this podcast into 15-second sound bites and put it out there. Might be some interesting stuff. Just an idea I'm giving to you.
Well, and it's like
charge.
I'm always a little bit hesitant to like, chase the trend, but all of these platforms always throw money at the trends, like, and they're throwing.
I don't think that like short video content is a trend. I think it's going to stick around.
Right. I mean, I guess I just mean like, I don't know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean either. I think you should make some more YouTube shorts is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I should. Well, and especially on Instagram too. Right now, Instagram is throwing a bunch of money at Reels. I don't know who in our audience may have seen this too, but I mean, I think anyone who's a creator is probably getting the same monetization incentive that I am, which is like they're pretty much saying they'll pay you thousands of dollars if you can earn like millions of views on your shorts. I probably won't earn millions of views, but I should be posting more shorts
hot
because
sauce tour is going to explode on Instagram, and you'll make thousands of dollars. See?
Why did I not think? I'm writing this down right now that I need to make a short version of the Sriracha documentary.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, or you could make 10 short versions of the Sriracha documentary and see what people like. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
God, this is going to be great.
Thank you for the golden idea.
I just, 10% or whatever you earn, you just slide across the table to your good friend Nick, who gave you the idea.
We're going to get rich. We're going to get so rich.
I don't think I'm going to get rich, but I'm going to support you, my good friend.
Thank you. So we have a few good questions that I want to get through today. The first one is a YouTube comment from Oliver or Alio. There's a W in there.
There's a W. Yeah, that's a confusing one.
Who wants to know, how can I play Digital 8 cassettes without a camera, or where can I find a cheap camera to play it?
Good luck.
I mean, I do think a camera is probably going to be cheaper than...
I'm sure they made decks back in the day, but I bet you can't get them anymore.
Yeah, probably hard to find a deck.
And I assume camera that works is probably going to be your best bet. I have a box full of Digital 8 cassettes that are totally worthless to me too, but I can't bring myself to throw them away. Or maybe I did throw them away.
If you just want to Google a model number, like Nick and I each had the Sony TRV. You had the TRV 120 and I had the 320, I think.
How do you remember that? I have no idea.
I remember a lot of model numbers. Like one of my favorite cell phones was the Sony Ericsson W810i.
That one I remember. I knew you were going to say that. So.
And my first digital camera was the Toshiba PDR M1, which I loved that camera.
That I don't remember. I'm looking on eBay. There's tons of these Sony TRV whatever's on here. So. Good luck. And I think we have done fairly modern conversions of like Firewire 400 to 800 to Thunderbolt 1 to Thunderbolt. Didn't we have like a big chain of cables that actually did work to connect these digitally to a computer?
Yeah. I mean, I have a whole episode of the podcast about that camera, hooking it up to my computer. It is like a whole daisy chain of different cables and adapters. I feel like that's kind of the more difficult part here, is how do you get what will presumably be like either like RCA video out or like a Firewire video out. How do you get that into your modern
want to try
computer?
and do it the digital way if you can, right? I mean, if you can get the Firewire out and into a Thunderbolt form of some kind, I think that should work. I don't remember doing a podcast episode about that, but I'm glad we did.
That's because I did it all by myself.
What?
You were unavailable.
Unacceptable. I want it stricken from the record. Do it again. All right, we got a YouTube comment from MJ who wants to know, why don't you start to fly FPV, first person video? The best cinematic shots are taken by FPV drones. So come on, Griffin. Why don't you?
That's a great question. I'm afraid of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I would definitely crash an FPV drone.
Didn't DJI just come out with a new FPV drone that's like lower cost?
Yeah, and it looks like it kind of has like rubber or something around the blades. Like it looks like it probably could take some crashes, some light crashing. But I guess I am super impressed by what people are able to achieve with those FPV drones. But like my approach to drone flights has always been so simple. It's always been like, I don't even like multiple moves at the same time. Like I don't even like tracking and zooming at the same time. Like I just want to put up the drone, focus on my subject, and then just like slowly move forward or slowly move down. It's always just like one axis of movement that I think is so compelling. I mean, that alone is already like, it just makes things gorgeous and it looks great in videos that I work on, that I guess I just haven't needed, like, you know, like the Cubs made that. Did you see the one the Cubs made?
I did. Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. And I love it when people add like the very immersive sound design, which really sells the concept. But I don't know. That's just not my style. I feel like
the DJI FPV is only $1,000, and then you two could get into this, Griffin. So maybe it's worth a try.
Yeah.
DJI, send one to me, and we'll talk about it.
And then I would need the goggles and everything. Like you have to fly it first person.
I'm assuming that the goggles come with, surely, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. They probably do.
Now they've got this like motion controller, which is separate, but that'd be pretty cool too. So
that's the joystick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I received a Twitter question from Algie who said, doing a live capture in OBS usually produces an MKV file, which I can turn into an MP4 file. Which one should I import into the editing software? Does MKV have any drawbacks if used in editing?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but MKV versus MP4 are really just container formats, right? The encoded video inside is going to be identical. So I don't think it should make any difference, unless I'm wrong.
Well, and I don't know what OBS is doing encoding wise, and if these containers support a different function, but like in OBS, it tells you if you choose the MKV file, then you're kind of immune to the software. Like if it crashes in the middle of a stream or is not shut down properly, your recording is fine, is protected up till that point. But if you do the MP4 encoding, it doesn't promise that. So I'm not sure what underlying encoding it might be doing inside those containers. But it seems like choosing the MKV is like safer.
There you go.
The problem though that I told Algie on Twitter is that Final Cut will not bring in the MKV files. And I think I maybe even tried like just changing the container name, like just changing it to MP4, and I feel like it still didn't bring it in. And so I am always converting them in Adobe Media Encoder anyway. I told him rather than like encoding into an MP4 file, it's like if I'm going to be doing the encoding anyway, I just go ahead and make it into a ProRes file. It is big, especially if I've taken like a whole hour-long live stream and turned it into ProRes. It'll be a big file, but at least that's like a really nice format to edit with, very not processor intensive, and then you can delete it when you're done.
There you go.
Should we talk about how we solved Brett's problem?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a fun one, huh? Well, you solved it. I thought I did, but I was wrong.
Thinking about like encoding stuff reminded me of this, that we did a podcast episode. I don't know if we did it last year or the year before about our friend Brett.
2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. About Brett and his wife Susie have created this amazing Halloween show, like a projection show on the outside of their house. So we have a whole episode about this where we talk about it. And this year he was building a new show and everything was going great. Well, I guess he had kind of two problems. First, all of his media was going offline in After Effects. And so I came in and kind of helped him just with some best practices. It's just kind of funny to be talking to Brett, who is like this is not what he does for a living.
Right.
And so he just had some like bad practices in terms of like it's not really a problem to be pulling all your files necessarily off of an external hard drive. But the fact that he was building this giant project in After Effects with like 60 layers at once, and it's all like stock video and all the stuff he's downloaded. I have no idea what these formats are. And presumably they're all being pulled off of one single external hard drive at the same time.
Oh God. Yeah. That's a bandwidth nightmare.
Is that, yeah, I just assumed, like, I don't even know what this hard drive is. I don't know what this cable is that's connecting it, but it's like, that has to be the bottleneck somehow. So the first thing we did was just move everything to the local hard drive. But also he wasn't rendering. He was just like exporting at the end. And that like somehow it was like playing back correctly. And then when he exported, it was showing the media offline. So I encouraged him to render as he went, and that seemed to help too. But also he just like wasn't saving the project files in any meaningful way. It was like, I was like, before we move all this stuff off the hard drive, we're going to leave it on the hard drive, but let's move it to the local hard drive and let's save this as like
a version,
the version before the major change we're about to make. And so he did. And then a few minutes later, after we'd copied everything over, he was like, all right, I'm looking for the project file. Is this it? Is this it? I was like, what do you mean? Like, didn't you just make it? And he's like, well, here's like, it's like project 8, project 9, project 10, project 11. Like there was no meaningful naming convention going on, which like all of us video professionals have learned that you're going to go through tens or hundreds of versions, and so it makes sense to name things in a meaningful way. Brett just hasn't learned the hard way yet.
But then his biggest problem was, when he gets this file out, it loops, right? Because it's like the show is however many minutes long, and then there's like some sort of delay, right? Where it basically says like the show will start again in however many minutes, and then
I think his show's only 5 minutes long, but he spaces it out every 15 minutes. So it's actually a 15-minute video file with the show is the first 5 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes are a countdown. A
countdown to the show. And then the video file loops because the player he uses loops. And he was getting pretty severe audio drift where if he jumped any point in the file, the audio and video were synced, but if he let it play, the audio and video would get out of sync and dangerously so. And it, for this type of a show, the sound and video being synced is pretty critical. So it was a big problem.
Like people singing on screen, so if they're even off by, to me, if anyone's off like by more than like 8 frames, it's like crazy. But he was talking about like I think a 4-second delay, which
ruins it. Yeah. Yeah. And we tried all the usual stuff. I jumped to sample rate, assuming that maybe there was a sample rate mismatch or something, because that was a problem I always experienced. So when my sample rates were mismatched, I'd get drift over long projects and things like that. But that did not fix it.
And I thought it can't be sample rate because like that's like a problem you have with different files together in an editing software. But this was like he's created the file.
Yeah.
And it plays normally sometimes and other times. So my feeling was like, if it plays normal sometimes and then when you let it play all the way through, it drifts. I've never experienced this before, but I just assumed it's got to be that the media player he has hooked up to his projector, it's just like some little Amazon thing, like Chinese product he bought.
Yeah.
It must just be like struggling to decode the video. Like maybe it's playing the audio at normal speed and then it's like lagging the video as it decodes over time, which I think we figured out was the problem. Because what did he ultimately do?
You had him change a bunch of his export settings to a, what is it, MPEG 2 or something? Just something really easy, big file size, but easy to decode.
Yeah. We thought about like trying to do ProRes or something, but I'm not sure if his media player would handle it and maybe it'd just be too big. But yeah, he was doing just like a basic H.264 MP4 file. It wasn't like a crazy frame rate or anything. I think it was 2997 and it was 1920 by 1080. But if it's struggling with that, my suggestion was to just try like an older format. So we went to MPEG 2, which I think maybe made a bigger file slightly. It wasn't a ton bigger, but presumably that was easier for it to decode. But that's a weird problem to have because like any modern media player is decoding a lot of H.264. So I was really surprised by that. Like every TV show you throw at this media player would be like an hour-long H.264 file, right?
And last year's worked fine. So something weird was happening, and we never quite got to the bottom of it. There was also some questions as to whether or not he was outputting an HDR, right? Yeah,
that was the other thing. Is like I think his, this always happens in video editing. Like I'm sure one of these third-party stock video clips that he downloaded or paid for was probably an HDR file. There's a ton of HDR files now. You shoot on an iPhone, it's HDR. And I don't know if that was the first thing he dropped in the After Effects timeline, but it's like I'm guessing his project conformed to one of the clips, and he was dealing with a timeline or a sequence that was in HDR. And so every time he was exporting, it was asking him like how to deal with that, like how to conform that down to SDR. I don't think we ever figured out exactly what was going on there, but my concern was like, I wonder if his brightness is going to be off because it's like expecting to have this high range. Yeah. But I think ultimately the brightness is fine. It looks fine. So I'm not going to mess with it.
We'll share a link with his new show because it looks great.
Yeah. We'll put that in the show notes along with everything that we've talked about today.
That's right. Well, I think we've covered it all, Griffin. I think we've covered it all. So look forward to the feedback. Thank you, everybody, for sharing and comments on Twitter and email. And I'll wrangle Griffin into getting this membership off the ground. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Also, I put in some more lighting, so let me know what you think of the lighting. Thank you.
Yeah, I like your backlight.
There it is.
I'm going with kind of a...
I got an ambery light over here. I got something on the TV. So it's looking
I'm doing
good.
like a natural-ish backlight, like a yellowy color, kind of compared to my fake sunlight coming this way from my window, and letting you do the more dramatic colors today.
Dramatic. Okay. Well, friend, let's talk again soon.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Yep. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Testing. Hey, test.
I do have a cough. I apologize in advance.
Okay.
I might have to do some editing.
I wonder if I can run it through like Cough Analyzer or something.